Rotary Club of Des Moines, October 19th. I'm your president, Becky Greenwald. I'm going to ask you to indulge me a little bit in my Rotary factoid because this particular item is a special favorite of mine, and that's the polio campaign. And Tuesday, October 24th, is World Polio Day. So it's a great time for us as Rotarians to raise awareness around our community about the continuing work that we do, providing critical funding for polio vaccination campaigns, public awareness initiatives, and also healthcare initiatives. But I want to be sure we all know that last year, the Gates Foundation and Rotary expanded our agreement, and we have another $450 million commitment to generate support for the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. And out of that, Rotary's committed to raising another $50 million each year for 3 years. And then, of course, each dollar that we raise will be matched by $2 from the Gates Foundation. So, particularly important facts are, as a result of this, last year, the Polio Plus Society began. And it was a promise to donate $100 a year to the Rotary International Foundation every year until polio is eradicated from the face of the earth. And I gotta say, one of the reasons I immediately said yes when I was invited to come to Rotary was years ago. I really knew what Rotary was doing as part of eradicating polio. And I grew up with a mom that took her nurse's training at Iowa Methodist and was telling us stories about having to get into the iron lungs as a young nurse in training and how awful that was. And so that was just always kind of part of the conversation. And knowing now that we're getting so close, a couple of facts, if you want to share them with your friends and neighbors, is of course that polio mainly affects children under 5, and there's no cure, but we do know that polio is preventable with the vaccine, and that we've reduced cases by 99.9% since 1988. And it's just that last 2% that we've got to get lift. And then with our partners, we've helped immunize more than 3 billion children now against polio in 122 countries. And again, the 2 countries that remain, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Again, until we end polio forever, every child's still at risk. And I just want you to consider thinking about sharing that message, especially when you wake up on Tuesday morning and who you see, knowing that it's World Polio Day. And always more information available at Rotary, and the endpolio.org site is pretty informative. So with that message, I would like to introduce Susan Voss, who will be giving us our moment of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and the 4-way test of the things that we think, do, and say. Thanks, Susan.
Well, I was trying to think of something very inspirational based on our speaker today from the Department of Transportation, and so here's what I came up with. It's not very serious, but you know, when we think of roads, don't you think of rock and roll?
Yeah.
So here's a group of songs that I want you to go home tonight and listen to and think about the fabulous message that our speaker will be providing us today. Rockin' Down the Highway by the Doobie Brothers. Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. Drive My Car by the Beatles. On the Road Again, Willie Nelson. Little Red Corvette, Prince. I'm in Love with My Car, Queen. Drive by The Cars. And my favorite, Highway to Hell. So thank you very much for that time for inspiration. And now that you all stand, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and then the 4-way test. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it fun?
Thank you, Susan. meet and greet everybody. We do have two guests to introduce today, and I want to be sure that you stand, and when I'm done introducing both of you, we'll acknowledge you both. So we have returning visit from Rotarian from Accra, Ghana. I want to have you say hello again to Magdalene Apente. Welcome, Magdalene. And Patricia Quinsick is here, guest of Arden, Oregon. Please stand, Patricia. And we also have, thank you, a guest with our Department of Transportation, Veronica Tolander is here. So welcome. Thank you. Okay, it's tumbler time. And please consider donating $5 if you don't already have a green sign on your name badge. This money goes to our Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation so we can fund these wonderful projects that we do. And we want to thank you for your continued support. And of course, even if you do have the little green dollar sign, we'd never turn down another donation. So that's always an option. Okay, quickly, the 1911 challenge forms are on your table. Just want to remind you that as it's out here, we're having a little fun with this contest to see who can rack up the most points. And like that last week after the end of the week, I had 904 points. So I dare someone to come up here and beat me or let me know. Fill out your forms. Let me know, and we'll have some fun with this. I'm sure some of you are ahead of that one. You just need to fill them out and have some fun. And if you happen to decide to take us up on the polio donations, you get 2 points for every $1 that you donate towards either the Rotary International Foundation or our own. So there you go. And we don't disclose how much you donate. We keep that quiet, but you get the points. Okay, so where in the world is Club 27? We don't have any this week, so don't forget, if you are going somewhere, traveling, or just doing something fun around town, check one of these out with Kitty and take a photo and send it in, because we like to know where you're going, and that's a good way for us to keep up with the fun things that you're doing. And our community service committee, boy, you just keep doing great things every month, and it's another busy month. And we still need 2 volunteers for Saturday, October 28th, for the Trick or Trees event at the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden. That time commitment is going to be 9:45 in the morning until 12:30. It's going to be a fun event, working with the kids, and Rich Leopold is the champion in this one, so if you can help out, let Rich know. And also there's a sign up in the lobby, so 2 more folks needed. Saturday, October 28th. And today we're wrapping up our coat drive for warm winter coats for the Orchard Place. Our goal was to raise $7,500 for 300 coats. Currently we're at $4,900. There's a white sign-up sheet in the lobby on your table if you still wish to contribute. And we want to already thank you for the many of you who've already donated and given generously. We really appreciate how our club comes together and does these wonderful things. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know those kids that get the coats will appreciate it. And Colleen Rogers Messenger is with us today to come up with an announcement from the Community Services Committee. And Colleen also is a member of our board of directors. So hello, Colleen. Good to see you.
Thank you, Becky. Well, each fall, our Thanksgiving partnership with Edmonds Elementary School is just a boost to my spirits. This time of year always makes me think about the abundance in my life and how I can give back. So I'd like to tell you about a woman we'll call Sarah. She enrolled her 2 children at Edmonds Elementary this fall, and during the registration process, the school learned they're homeless. Sarah relocated to Des Moines from Omaha to escape an abusive relationship with her children's father. If you can imagine this, her and her kids left their home with nothing but some bags of clothing and moved into the bedroom of a family member's apartment until she could secure her own place. There are currently 8 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment, so space and resources are scarce. Sarah is a full-time CNA, but is unable to save up for the large upfront expense of a deposit and first month's rent. In order to meet her children's needs, she frequents local food pantries. Sarah faces an entirely different set of circumstances and choices each day than most of us in this room. One thing we all have in common is enjoying a delicious meal on Thanksgiving Day. Will you join me in helping Sarah and other families like hers? A $50 Fairway gift card will give her and her kids the chance to shop for what they need for a meal and enjoy some normalcy as they forge ahead and create new family traditions this year. On your tables, there's a yellow sign-up sheet. To participate, please sign up, and the deadline is Wednesday, November 8th. And I hope you'll join me in expressing your gratitude for the good fortune in your life by contributing $50 to a hardworking family in need. Thank you.
Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce one of our new members to the Rotary Club of Des Moines, and I'd like to ask Taufik Shaw to come up here and stand by me while we do this. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Becky. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Taufik was sponsored for membership by Rita Correa. We thank Rita for introducing Taufik to us, and we are thrilled to have Taufik as our new member. What we are doing is we asked Taufik 5 fun facts to share with you so we can get to know him a little quickly, and I invite all of you to be sure that you go up and introduce yourselves to Taufik over the coming weeks and months to get to know him, because you're going to find him a fascinating individual. So 5 fun facts that Taufik shared. We said, what if you got a free day? What would we find you doing? And you'd be spending time with family, enjoying a delicious meal, usually like to find a new restaurant in the metro to try. Okay. Second fun fact, where in the world have you traveled to that you can't wait to go back to? Taufik loves the city of Boracay, Philippines. Boracay? Boracay? Ooh, thank you. Boracay, Philippines. Beautiful, surrounded by crystal clear oceans and beautiful beaches. Okay, so then, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? If you really want it, you'll find a way to make it work and persevere through anything to get it. What talent or skill do you possess that might surprise or delight people? This is a great one to have. Patience in listening. I enjoy hearing other people's stories and successes. And then, you're joining Rotary. What can't you wait to tell your friends about our organization? That is a great organization with amazing people. And I just have to share some of Taufik's background with you, because you're just going to be so impressed to find out what he's been up to these last several years. But his story is one of multicultural and generational celebration. The founder of Lola's Fine Hot Sauce is the son of immigrants, a Filipino mother and a Pakistani father. His parents worked their way through medical school and moved to the U.S. With very little. And Taufik's father enlisted in the military, and his mother set up a medical clinic, a medical practice in rural Iowa. So growing up in small town Iowa, and what town was that?
Winthrop.
Winthrop,
Yep.
okay. Growing up in Winthrop, Taufik's mother, Lola, was known for her delicious homemade sauces that were always on the kitchen table. Taufik was inspired by his mother and her talent for using fresh ingredients from local farmers to create delicious sauces for her friends and family to enjoy. In 2015, Taufik brought their family recipe to the farmers market in Des Moines, Iowa, and they chose the name Lola's, which is the Tagalog word for grandmother in Filipino culture, as well as Taufik's mother's given name. So the hot sauce was a hit, and in 2016, Taufik brought Lola's Fine Hot Sauces to the grocery stores in the grocery aisle. So today, Lola's Fine Hot Sauce is available in over 14,000 retailers and restaurants across North America, the Philippines, and the Virgin Islands. The all-natural product line has expanded to include hot sauces, salsas, drink mixes, and more. But Lola remains fully in charge of each secret recipe.
She taste tests every batch.
Ooh.
And there is some hot sauce on your table, so don't be shy.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and I want to also be sure that you know this, that Taufik Shaw is the recipient of the 2020 Small Business Administration's Iowa Small Business Minority Champion of the Year Award. Congratulations on that honor. He's also the 2023 Iowa Restaurant Association American Dream honoree, and has been named one of Des Moines Register's 2023 Top People to Watch. So, welcome, Taufik. Happy to have you.
Katie, you nailed it. I mean, not much else to say other than thank you so much. This is incredible. I'm so honored and humbled to be among you and being a fellow Rotarian. I try to make it to as many of these things as I can, and every time I come, it is nothing short of amazing. So amazing people, amazing individuals, and thank you for the support, and look forward to coming more and seeing all your beautiful faces. All right, love it.
Thank you. And now, our chairman of our International Service Committee is going to be here to introduce our speaker, Chris Anderson. Come on down.
Thanks, Becky. Scott Mahler became the director of Iowa Department of Transportation in February of 2020. Mahler has worked for the Iowa DOT for over 26 years with experience in traffic operations, highway project development, that same highway that I think Susan was talking about maybe, regulatory compliance, and the natural environment. Mahler has been active in leadership development and workforce planning and has been instrumental in preparing for automated transportation and advanced technologies. He is active in several national committees associated with the American Association of State Transportation Officials and Transportation Research Board, in particular focused on transportation operations and advanced technologies. He has served on a national technical committee for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, an expert panel for the TRB, and a course development committee for the National Highway Institute. He has also served on governor's councils and other state of Iowa task forces. He holds a Master's of Science degree from Miami University of Oxford, Ohio, and a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. So please help me welcome Scott.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for that introduction. You know, as Susan was recounting the various songs, I was thinking with all the construction we have in the Des Moines metro area right now, maybe we need Don't Stop Believing as one of the songs. We're getting there. It is my pleasure to be with you. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you here today. Special thank you to Becky and to Chris and to Kitty for the warm invitation to join you. I want to introduce someone who's with me here because we're starting a program at the Iowa DOT we have not had available in the past. And Veronica, if you stand up just a moment. Veronica is our procurement director at the Iowa DOT. And we started a new leadership program, an executive fellowship program. And Veronica is our very first executive fellow. So we're very pleased to have her with us here today. Thank you, Veronica. I had instructions on what I was supposed to do. Okay. One of the reasons I'm excited to be here with you is because at the Department of Transportation, we're very focused on how we can improve our service delivery. And so we want to talk with our customers across the state about that exact thing. And I'm hoping that here today we can not only talk about what's happening with transportation in Iowa right now, but also that eye toward the future, because we believe that together that's how we're going to realize that future that we need to aspire to. So let's jump in. We like to begin with the why. I like to start with the why for transportation. And while this particular audience, I don't think I have to tell you much about the why, but let me just remind us, every year in Iowa, we're number 1 or 2 in the world for corn, beans, hogs, eggs, biofuels. Iowa is a top producer, quite literally feeding the world. And these products, where are they going? These maps are going to be hard to see, but they're going all over the United States, and they're going all over the globe. Our number 1 and 2 export nations are Canada and Mexico. My son spent some time in Japan the last few years, and I told him it's very likely that if you're eating an egg in Japan, that could have originated from Iowa. How's it getting there? As you all know, we have many modes of transportation that we enjoy in Iowa. We're the only state in the nation bordered on 2 of our state borders by rivers, 64 ports along our river systems. And of course, we've seen some recent investment in the upper Mississippi River, the locks and dam systems. We have more than 10,000 trucking companies headquartered in Iowa. And that's great because we have over 115,000 miles of public roads. That's a lot in our country. We have 5 Class 1 railroads. and we obviously have 491 navigable miles of waterway. This is how we're getting there, and that brings me to the Iowa Department of Transportation. Our mission is making lives better through transportation. Our mission's not about transportation for transportation's sake. Don't care. It's about people. It's about improving the safety, the efficiency, the convenience for people in and coming through Iowa, for all of our travelers. That's what we're about as an organization. And specific to the Rotary here today, I wanted to talk a little bit about that intersection between transportation and the economy. That's why I started with the fact that we're a top commodity exporter in the world. So if we think about what's happening with transportation, can we make it a little safer? Can we make it more reliable? That leads to additional business investment, which ultimately leads to more productivity, more competition, and ultimately a better quality of life. That's that intersection that we talk about. This is one reason why the Economic Development Director, Debbie Durham, and I, we're on the phone frequently about strategies we need to deploy as a state to ensure not only people getting here, but that our products are moving both here and out of our state as well. So that's a lofty vision. How are we doing? How are we doing in Iowa with transportation? If we look at vehicle traffic, these are all of our vehicles on our roadways. We're, I would say, tracking with historic trends. We are back from 2019 levels. The big dip you see in the light gray graph line here, that's the pandemic. That's when we had about a 40% reduction in vehicular traffic. We're back today, back to pre-2019 levels, and it's just tracking kind of with historical trends. By the way, what is the historical trend in Iowa? It's about 33 million, or excuse me, I got the wrong number there, 33 billion with a B, vehicle miles traveled each year in Iowa. That's kind of what we do in this state. If we look at our air service, we're exceeding 2019. We're doing better. And if you have flown recently out of Des Moines, you've probably seen this. There's a lot of people in the Des Moines International Airport. We're so pleased to be present at the groundbreaking back on October 4th for the new terminal. And we're seeing this across the country as well. There's a lot of demand for commercial air service. If we look at our rail cars, we're tracking along historic trend lines. The black line in this case is where we are today in 2023. We're tracking along historical trends. Here's what we're seeing with specifically our rail car movements. Our commodity shipments have been down a little bit. We've seen some weakness in the retail sector, but we're seeing a lot more demand via rail for the automotive sector, including not just new and used vehicles, but also parts as well. Our river travel is suffering right now. You probably have seen reports in the news about the Mississippi River and the drought that we're having as a nation. This is affecting Iowa. How? Roughly 60% of our grains end up going down the Mississippi River to the port in New Orleans. The problem is when the river level is low, they cannot build as big of a barge as they want. Usually they're looking for a 15 barge tow. It's kind of what they're looking for. They can't build it as big, and they can't put as much on it, which means it can't go as deep in the river. That in turn constrains the supply of the barges themselves, which means the prices go up for the shippers and moving our commodities to market. That's the problem when the Mississippi River is low. It actually causes those prices to move it, to rise. Panama Canal does affect Iowa's economy as well. Typically, the Panama Canal doesn't have boats waiting like it does right now. About 95 boats have been waiting here in the recent period of time to transit through the canal. Same problem. The freshwater levels have not been there to make it more navigable. Now, dialing in a little bit specific to Iowa, these graphs show on the left graph, as you look at it, is fatalities historically in Iowa, traffic fatalities, and the right one is speeds. Really what I wanted to illustrate here is we have a crisis with fatalities. The trend is going the wrong direction, up. We're having more fatalities. In fact, today, that number is 298 fatalities in Iowa. The problem is that's 24 more than this exact day a year ago. That trend is continuing in the wrong direction, and one of the major culprits is the graph you see on your right, which is speed. over the last several years, and it's also trending up. We've seen this problem. I don't know if you've heard the reports from the Iowa State Patrol about the number of citations they issue for speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, which during the pandemic, the worst we've ever seen, it was over 1,500 citations that year for speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. Think about that a moment. You know, that many, those are the ones that they caught and cited. You know, we all knew that things were different during that pandemic, but we've struggled as a state to see that mitigate in a downward. We're also seeing heavier, bigger, larger, longer loads on our roads. There's a tremendous pressure, particularly on the building that's up at the top of this hill, our legislature. There's a tremendous pressure to go heavier and heavier with our loads. And the problem with that can be, if we're not well prepared, we can begin to degrade our pavements and our bridges. So we have to do this smartly and in ways where we can move our product to market more efficiently. We're also seeing a lot of natural disasters. This particular photograph is an exit ramp on Interstate 29 back in the floods we had back in 2019. And we're seeing these types of things happen where we're having to rebuild portions of the infrastructure a lot sooner than we had expected due to these types of disasters. Lay on top of that an environment in which inflation has caused everything to cost more. So this is our road construction index, and the number is 24% in 2022. This is how much more the same road projects were costing us due to inflation. I'm pleased to tell you we're seeing that begin to kind of level out some, that inflationary pressure, which is good, but everything now costs more, which is not great. That's where we are. What are we doing about all these challenges? I just showed you some sobering statistics, some challenges. What are we doing as your Department of Transportation in Iowa to combat some of these things? Well, it starts with innovation. So I mentioned that we've got a lot of pressure on the system, and transportation is evolving today. As I mentioned, we're seeing a lot more freight, we're seeing heavier loads, and it's only going to get more, is what our projections are showing. Quite a bit more. Automated vehicles is one of the tools that we see coming, and I want to talk just a little bit about this here with you today, because this is that eye toward the future. What does this mean for Iowa, and how will it be different? At the DOT, we call it a two-pronged approach. We like to make investments that are good for people right now on our road network, but also good for the machines of tomorrow. So it's not imminent in any, right this moment that we're going to have robots driving cars. I know you hear stories from San Francisco and other places. That's not where we're at. Really, it's going to take a lot of investment and research and time. We're talking years before we'd see that type of automation, which in the industry they call that a level 5 automation, which means it's fully operated by a machine. What we're seeing is, we're doing this with our pavement markings right now. What we're seeing is by investing smart right now, we can prepare for those machines. So instead of the traditional 4-inch marking on our interstates, using waterborne paints, we're now making that a 6-inch wide marking. It's wider. We're making them brighter. We're putting more material into the paint itself to make it more reflective. And we're using more durable materials. Instead of water, we're using epoxies and plastics to actually put those stripes down. What does that do? It helps people today see better, but it also helps machine vision, because the machines with the cameras and the LiDAR sensors and the radar sensors, they're able to detect those lines much better, which the OEMs tell us that's one of the keys. We got to have more, positive guidance out on the roadway. So this is our two-pronged approach. How can we make those investments today that are good for people right now, but we can leverage that for the machines of tomorrow? When I drove here today, we saw a lot of the parking meters right downstairs that, they're just a number, right? And you have to go to the app and type in your number, and that's your parking meter. This evolution is already happening throughout our transportation space. Think about how many of us today pull out our paper DOT map. I know many of us still have those paper DOT maps. I have them too. But we're using our in-car navigation systems. That's an example of the difference. It's always it's interesting. It's always a discussion point at the legislature about should we should we stop having the DOT print those maps? And it's funny, because one of the stories we heard was, well, my grandfather was able to navigate pretty much all of Europe on a paper map back in World War II. I think that it works just fine, you know, that technology. This is one of the stories we hear. But we are evolving, that's the point. We're evolving as a state and as a nation, and we're seeing the vehicles evolve as well. We took this idea and we said, what happens on Interstate 80 if we begin to apply some of these really advanced technologies? The point of this slide is to say, if we did nothing, we're going to see crashes increase on Interstate 80 over the next 15 to 20 years. If we 6-lane I-80, border to border, we're going to see crashes increase over the next 15 to 20 years. If we thread in automated vehicles to that equation, we're going to see crashes decrease by nearly 60%. We flip the model. That's what we're looking for. That's why every Department of Transportation in the nation is looking at these advanced technologies, because it turns out people are not good drivers. I know it's a shocker. I know that's a shocker, but that's why. That's why. We're also seeing the electrification. So automation is different than electrification. Electrification is the fuel that we use. So today we have nearly 13,000 vehicles registered in Iowa that are electric, either battery or hybrid, plug-in hybrid. This is not a pattern we have traditionally seen. We have about 4.5 million vehicles total registered in Iowa, so it's still a very tiny percentage, but the point is it's coming. And we have federal funding available, and we are deploying charging infrastructure every 50 miles along the interstate. That's the kind of fuel enablement that will bring these newer technologies to market. But it's not just the electricity, it's also hydrogen. We're seeing a lot of hydrogen as well. Here recently, the state was competing for a federal grant to get a hydrogen hub. We think that the hydrogen market is going to be especially important for heavy loads, big semis. You know, if you think about loading up a semi with a lot of batteries to make electric, that's really, really heavy at that point. So you don't have the return on investment. Hydrogen, by contrast, we think is probably where some of the companies are looking for that investment. And of course, in Iowa, we're biofuels. We're the #1 biofuel producer in the world, right here in Iowa. And we already enjoy some of those advantages at the pump right now with the blended fuels that we have. At the Iowa DOT, we have several biodiesel trucks that we run as well. So these biofuels, we see this market continuing to grow. And really, it's an all-of-the-above approach for fuels. It's electricity, it's hydrogen, it's biofuels, traditional fuels, all of the above. So we got to innovate. That's #1. #2, customer service. At the Department of Transportation, it's one of our core values is servant leadership. This is something we hold as part of our core. Leading by serving. And this has manifested in different ways. You may have noticed when you go to a driver's license service center nowadays, you can make an appointment, kind of like when you make an appointment for your doctor's office. And what we hear is, you know, when I make that appointment, I'm in and out in 15, 20 minutes. It's nothing like the old days. By the way, you can still walk in, because about 15% of our customers very much want to walk in, and you still kind of have a wait. So that is a little bit like the old days. You might be there for a little while, because what's happening is they are fitting you in between some of these appointments. We have 18,000 customers a week at our 18 driver's license stations across the state. So that's the volume of customers that we're serving. That's the volume of customers that we're serving, and that's why this is so important, is because we wanted to shift the model. We started this in the pandemic with the appointments, but we challenged ourselves. How can we make this better for the people of Iowa, where you're not sitting at a DL station all afternoon just to get your address updated on your license? We're also moving as much as we can online, so let's just avoid making the trip if we can, and let's just do what we can online. Winter's coming. I'm sorry to report it. It's coming, but we're ready, by the way. We have a lot of plows that will be out on the road. In fact, we have 902 snow plows across the state. We're always investing in more technology. One of the challenges we've had is we've had about 50 plow hits this past year. When I say plow hits, that's people running into us is what that is. It's not the plows like hitting someone else. Typically a side swipe, and we think a lot of it has to do with that snow cloud. It's hard to see sometimes when you get caught in that snow cloud. So we're putting a lot of investment in additional lighting around that cloud and really try to brighten it up. Our salt sheds are full. We hold about 240,000 tons of salt. We work with a lot of our local cities and counties on that. And if you don't have the 511 app on your phone, download it. You can get it in the App Store or on Google Play. This is really vital for winter travel because with this app, you can literally look out of the front windshield of one of our plows and look at your road where you want to go. I mean, they're plowing it right there, and you can say, okay, that looks like something I can navigate. So if you don't have it, I encourage you to get it. One of the ways we're trying to serve customers is by listening to the needs that are out there. This is an example where some of our customers said, look, I have a special needs adult child. We have to, if we stop at a rest area, we have to lay out a blanket kind of in the back corner where nobody can see us to tend to the needs of this special needs adult child, or worse, go into a public restroom and like lay out on the floor in a stall in this public restroom. Just deplorable conditions. And they went to the legislature and said, can we do something about this? And we heard about this at the department, and we said, you know what? We don't think we need legislation for this. We just need to know what's going on here. We began deploying these at all of our modern rest areas. There's 38 rest areas across Iowa. 19 of them have been upgraded to the more modern rest area, and we are deploying these at our modern rest areas because of this need that we've heard so much about and learned about here in Iowa. You would not believe the stories that we're getting in response to this, where families are saying, look, Iowa's now the place that I'm going to be traveling through because I couldn't believe it when I stopped at a rest area and saw this special needs table and how meaningful that was to the adult children and myself and my family. So that's what we're trying to do, lead by serving. It fits with our core value of servant leadership. Bear with me, we're almost there. So we got 10 minutes. On the safety side, I'm going to touch on safety and investment, and we'll wrap it up. On the safety side, you've seen a lot of work zones, particularly here in the metro area. This ultimately is improvement. When I drive around, I see the yellow signs, the cones. Ultimately, this is about making it better. So do be patient with us as we have some of this happening. One of the ways we're investing, keeping our workers safe, is we're investing in technology to make smart vests for our own workers. Not only where your location will show up and ping, but also there's a device called a Guardian Angel where it literally makes the worker more visible in the work zone. It's not only important to keep travelers safe, but it's also important to keep our workers safe too. And we've got a lot of technology you may not realize in work zones today. When you see an arrow board, like in the middle of this slide, that's got the chevrons that light up, those arrow boards all have a smart GPS chip in them that tells our traffic management center when that thing is lit, the lane is closed. It's saying I'm actively moving traffic over. We've got audible warning systems where if a driver is coming in hot to one of our attenuators, it first flashes really bright lights, and if somebody doesn't correct, then it sounds a really loud horn, a siren. And believe me, that'll get their attention. And it also gets my attention when legislators who live close to one in West Des Moines happen to hear about it at 2 a.m. and then I'm getting the phone calls the next day that our siren, what's this siren out here? But I see that as a small price to pay for safety, right? People are distracted, they're on their phone, they're speeding, they're not paying attention. It's a sad truth that the Iowa State Patrol has come across crashes where in the floor of the car, YouTube is running with a video playing for a deceased fatality. These are the stories that we're hearing about, and this is what we're finding, and our workers at the Department of Transportation can tell you it's an epidemic. They're seeing this at a front row seat. So we really try to deploy every technology we can, not only for our workers, but also for travelers. We don't want any loss of life out there. Okay, investment for the future. This will be my last point. We'll wrap it up. I'm proud to say that the Iowa Department of Transportation and the state, we've seen a record level of investment this past fiscal year. $1.47 billion all in, that's state, county, city. It's a record for the state of Iowa, the most investment we've ever made in our infrastructure in one fiscal year. And I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity to help improve the lives of Iowans through this investment. Our 7-person Transportation Commission, they're appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. Their philosophy has been, let's take care of what we have. We call that stewardship. And the little line on this graph is showing how their plan is to continue to increase our funding and stewardship, taking care of what we have year over year for the foreseeable future. That's really our strategy going forward. I know we probably have some questions in the audience. I really hope that you've gotten a sense of where we are today with transportation in Iowa, where we're headed for the future, and I would love to have some conversation with you if we have time. Got a few minutes here? Okay. At the back, yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for the winter snow removal. I think it's much better now than years ago. Anecdotally, I'm not sure if that shows that or not. But the question I have, many years ago, there used to be a tiered speed limit. Semis were less than cars. Were roads safer then, or why did that go away?
Yeah. So the question was, tiered speed limit, semis versus cars, were the roads safer then, and why did that go away? So a lot of states still do this, where they say, you know, I'm going to use this example, 70 miles per hour, trucks 65, you know, so you'll see things like that. One of the concerns that we've had with that, and it's been, we've had this concern for several decades now, which is one of the reasons why we see it in Iowa the way it is. One of the problems, and it's especially poignant today, the variability in speeds is one of the big problems. When you have somebody traveling fast and somebody traveling slow. And so what happens is already if you are on Interstate 80 out by Grinnell, for example, where there's a lot of steeper hills, the semis they'll already have to, due to gravity, kind of slow down just to get up the hill. Meanwhile, the passenger traffic is just zooming by them. If there's a huge variability in those speeds, you actually increase the potential for crashes. And that's one of the reasons why, as much as we can, we try to have even flow. Now, one of the problems with even flow is on the passenger vehicle side, people are just putting the hammer down. And they are just going like gangbusters. But that's our logic anyway with it, is to try to minimize crashes through an even flow. Also at the back.
With the, is there any, or what, I guess is a better way to put it, what's being done to create products that last longer on the highway? So we're talking about sustainability. Is there research being done that keeps it from deteriorating the way it does? It seems like we're just catching up and overmoving.
Yeah. So the question was sustainability and what's being done to help our system last longer. And there's a lot being done to answer your question. You know, one of the things we look at is how can we recycle the highways that we have when we need to reconstruct them. So a lot of times they will remove the rebar, rubbleize the concrete, crush it and put it down as the rock layer below what that next layer of pavement will be. That's one of the ways we try to make it more sustainable. There's research happening on plastics that are being added to concrete, research on different additives like fly ash, as well as even some enzyme type chemicals that actually change some of the structure of some of the base materials to make them more durable, to make them last longer. The markings, I mentioned we're headed toward pavement markings that are more plastic in nature, epoxy in nature, and we hope that we will see 4 to 5 years of life out of them. What we do today is every year for a waterborne paint, we've got to go replace it every single year, got to repaint it. So by making it more durable, we're hoping we can get it that way. Those are some of the examples right there, John. Let's go over here, yes sir.
Every year, cars get safer and safer, and yet fatalities are going up. How do you explain that one?
Yeah, you're right on the money there. Cars are getting safer and fatalities are going up. And a lot of it has to do with what we call, at our place, driver behavior. So speeds, we're seeing a dramatic increase in speeds. Amazingly, roughly half of the fatalities that we've had in Iowa were not belted. Distraction, You know, we're seeing amazing amounts of distraction and impairment, meaning drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing. Those are really the big hitters. You know, it's not, to us, not complicated. Buckle up, drive the speed limit, put your phone down. You're gonna arrive alive. It's gonna be safe for everybody. We view it as a partnership. You know, we can engineer so much into the work zones, but it really takes that partnership of the drivers too to say, yeah, I'm gonna do my part to keep everybody safe. Yes, sir, right here.
The slide earlier talked about a 6-lane I-80, and I was just curious as to whether or not, is that the plan, to take I-80 to 6 lanes?
No.
Okay.
So that would be massive investment. That's beyond the state's purview right now. But what is the plan is surgical. Like we do spot improvements. Right now you're seeing 6 laning out on I-80 going west toward Jordan Creek. Iowa City, same thing toward West Branch. You see spot improvements. But really what our studies have shown is we can service the traffic levels particularly with advanced technology. These technologies will also reduce headways, meaning you can travel closer together. Humans can't do that very well. Machines are going to do a lot better than we can. But we've got a long road to get it. One more question? Do we have time?
One more.
One more question. Yes, sir.
Is your position political or is it professional, like you said?
Yeah. I used to think it was professional. I'm appointed by the governor, I'm confirmed by the Senate. And I did grow up in the Iowa Department of Transportation, 26 years, so I came through the ranks. At other state DOTs throughout the country, it is often purely a political type thing. In Iowa, it's what I love about Iowa. I've lived here a very long time. We're very practical about how we approach our world. And so I'm very grateful that the governor gave me the opportunity to sit in this chair and help her deliver transportation on behalf of the people of Iowa.
Wow, I've sure learned a lot. I want to thank you, Scott, for your informative presentation. And as a token of appreciation, we've donated a book in your honor to the Des Moines Public Library. The book will become part of the Rotary Rosie Reader Van collection. And that's because our club donated $40,000 back in 2020 to the Des Moines Public Library Foundation to purchase that van. So now, upcoming events. In addition to our every Thursday at noon, we promise you that we'll have at least 2 additional opportunities a month to meet up. And you've got information on your table and also by the name badges about these upcoming happenings. But tomorrow, very excited, tomorrow, October 20th, the ribbon cutting for our 2022 community grant recipient. We contributed $40,000 to the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden for their new nature play area. And ribbon cutting is tomorrow from 9 to 10 a.m. There'll be coffee and light morning snacks. RSVPs are requested, and please let Kitty know. It'd just be great to be there when they open that play area. And if you have any kiddos in your life, bring them along so they can check out the new area. Then on Saturday, October 28th, you've heard Rich and I talking about the need for volunteers for Trunk or Trees event, again at the Des Moines Botanical Garden. That time commitment is 9:45 in the morning till 12:30. And sign up is in the lobby or email. And we do still need a couple more folks, so we'd love for you to sign up as soon as possible. Now for our upcoming speakers. And remember that you and your guests are invited to come to our meeting and register before 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the day before the meeting. You just can't register your guests online. You do need to do this through Kitty. So next week, we have our very own Sue Woody on October 26th, Director of the Des Moines Public Library, speaking to us about what it's like in the library these days. November 2nd, Michael McCoy, the Metro Waste Authority Director, will join us. And on November 9th, there's no meeting, so on November 9th, do not come here. We're going to have our fellowship opportunities. It'll be the same time frame from 12 until 1, just not at the Embassy Club. The signups will be going out with the newsletter and with information about all the host sites that we have. So look for information on those after next week. And a reminder that this next week, the Rotary office will be closed from Monday until Thursday. And that's because Kitty and President-elect Kevin Cassier will be traveling to Baton Rouge for the large club conference. So They'll be working, they just won't be working out of Des Moines. So I want to thank you all for being with us today, for being a vital part of the Rotary Club of Des Moines, making this club number 27. Thank you, Tuffy. We are just delighted to have you as a new member. Thank you, Rita, for inviting Tuffy to join us. And until we meet again, let's get out there and have fun and do good in the name of Rotary. We're adjourned.